We have a question back here. You want to go ahead?
I wanted to ask if you guys ever got into fights with other neighborhoods.
What was that?
If you guys ever got into fights with other neighborhoods.
Did we ever? We didn't actually go. I actually never went to fight with nobody. I used to, be honest with you, I used to like to go to Baldwin Park. I used to go to El Monte, and I used to go to Pomona. Different towns, go to parties over there. And the reason why is because where I lived, there wasn't that many young ladies. Now, I would go to these parties with my friends that lived over there and go to their parties to meet their friends. But that's why, I was no troublemaker.
But we did that in certain ways, because sometimes there would be, somebody would go out of the neighborhood and stuff to go shopping or doing this or going someplace. And then he would come back to the neighborhood and say, hey, I just got harassed by this group of guys over here. So, so we would all, let's we'll get a couple of cars or, and, everybody would pile in there, and we went back to even the score, that's what we did, So when one got picked on, we said, hey, well, let's just even it out and let's see what happened, So, that's we never went out looking for it, but we never, when it was there, we all stuck together, and helped the other one out. So.
Like he had a story.
Yeah, I would pick up my wife, and these guys pulled up behind me. They even knew my name. And we want to talk to you. I said, no, you don't. I'm out of here. No, they chased me out of Azusa so many times I can't even count them.
Yeah.
From another neighborhood?
Yeah.
Yeah, right there in the barrio.
Yeah, it was just, like I say, everybody had their own territories type deal. And we were wanted in their territories, and we didn't want them in ours. That's what it was. And sometimes it'd be, it got where guns were used and stuff like that, and people would get hurt sometimes, but it was just something where we thought it was the norm to protect our neighborhood, and that's what we did. And they did the same thing in their neighborhood, so it wasn't just us doing that. Almost every neighborhood did the same thing, but it can get pretty hairy about what can happen. There was people that had died on both sides, of the arguments. A lot of times people would end up in the hospital, from.
Stop and think about how crazy was that.
Yeah, and you didn't think about it till after we got in our age, where we said, man, we were pretty dumb to do stuff like that, because just think if it even went further than that, and you had to bury somebody, and that happened too, where a few people had passed away for stuff like that, But it was pretty normal. That was a thing in the days, where people would just say, hey, we went to a party over here, and we all got in a big fight, and it was pretty typical. Okay. That was normal. For that to happen, and we didn't want anybody coming to our parties, in our neighborhood. So that's the way it was.
Did you guys experience discrimination? Discrimination. Did you guys experience it?
Any what?
Discrimination.
Any what?
Discrimination.
Discrimination.
Yeah, there's a lot of discrimination.
Yeah.
Our parents couldn't buy a house in the white neighborhood.
Well, yeah, you couldn't do those things. Or they would hear your last name. My name's Gonzalez, just by listening to your last name. Oh, you're Mexican. Back then it was real, kind of like the black man sitting in the back of the bus, back in the day. It was, you weren't allowed.
The Monrovia plunge.
You go to the plunge, yeah. Yeah, it was, yes, it was.
We weren't allowed to even ride our bikes through the other neighborhoods out of Rocktown, because we would, when we were kids, because we would actually get stopped by the police department, and
They chase us back.
they'd say, "Hey, what are you guys doing over here?" Well, we're going to Fish Canyon to go swimming, and well, yeah, but why do you come through here? Well, it's a shortcut. And then, well, no. You guys just go along the tracks and go up. You don't need to be coming through the neighborhoods over here. So, get on your bikes, get out of here. So, and we were just young kids, 8, 9 years old.
Those things hurt
They would
when
tell
you're
us,
that
"Hey,
small.
don't. You're not invited to come to this neighborhoods. If you want to go swimming out in the river, take the long way around. Don't take the shortcuts through the neighborhoods." And we were kids, so we said, yeah, we understood it. Okay, but even in stores, we would go into stores, and there would be a group of us, and right away they would be looking at us and whispering, and keep an eye on them. They're here to not to buy. They're here to take stuff. But that wasn't the norm. We understood that, and it didn't bother us. That it bothered me more now than it did when I was a kid.
I think Esther's mom and dad, when they bought that ranch house here on Three Peppers.
Yeah, Three Ranch Road.
Yeah, they were going to buy it at one price, and they found out they were Mexicans. They upped up the price. They still bought it though.
So that's why we, like I said, we had our own stores and stuff there. So we didn't have to travel out to too many of the stores out of the places. So we can go to our store and buy whatever, and you ran into everybody there, and
get credit.
And
Get credit.
everybody had a running tab with everything, with the milkman, the donut man, the store. Everybody had your family name would be on there, and they would say, "Okay, put it on our bill," and they would write it on their bill, and at the end of the week or at the end of the month, whatever it was, you'd go pay your bill off and start over again. So.
And there was deposit on bottles. We're all salesmen. We'd get those bottles and go cash them in.
Go hustling bottles.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was the thing.
We were for bottles.
There was a guy coming around a fruit truck too, selling bananas, all kind of fruit. His name was Pete, and I used to work with him. I used to ring the bell and ride on the side of the truck. I was just a little kid, and as we turned the corners, I would get bananas and throw them on the corner. And after he left, I'd go back and get them.
But we did that with everybody, even the ice cream man.
Yeah.
The ice cream man at that time, the Hounds of Bay, he had a truck, and he had a window in the back and 2 on the side, and then they had the driver's seat and stuff. So we would say, "Hey, when the ice cream man gets here, get him around the other side of the truck. You want an ice cream from the other side, not this side." So he would go open that door on the other side, and the guys would run over to the other side on the truck and open the door and start getting their ice creams and stuff, and take a box or 2 and run.
You got to understand, you had to be conniving because our parents didn't have that much money, so a lot of things they couldn't afford. So we had to hustle any way we could, to get something. And even though we had to kind of like steal it, but we had to do what we had to do back then.
But there was one time when the ice cream man, they used to have a type of a partition inside the truck, so you couldn't see from one side through the other side. So when he went around the one side to get Sal's ice cream, the other guys would be taking ice cream out of the other door. So one time the new truck came up, and he opened the door, and he was getting a couple of ice cream. So we opened the other door to get our ice cream and stuff. He was looking right at us and say, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And, oh man! So we had to run. We had to get out of there. Never mind, I don't want an ice cream. So
you got to picture that. Back then, they had the ice cream trucks. They had little square doors. They pulled down like that, and you open it. But the other side had the same kind of door. So if you open this door, you could see right straight through the other side. And that's how these guys got caught.
And even the milkman, it'd come with one of the favorite things with the chocolate drink and the orange juice would come in these quart bottles, and they were all bottles. Besides leaving your milk, you'd get off and leave your milk and stuff, and leave your bottles there also, So, I mean, that's what we did when the milkman. We knew he had to go to the back house, way in the back, to drop off his milk and stuff. So when he went there, we would get in there and take an orange juice, take a chocolate, and get out of there, you know. And after a while, he said, hey, he would close the door and lock it, you know, because everybody was taking stuff. So,
You're a bunch of thieves, right?
well, you know, we didn't have money, and we just said, hey, and we were young kids. We just, hey, let's get it, you know. In fact, we would go around the neighborhoods out of the Rocktown, and we knew where all the fruit trees were at, you know, who had this, who had that tree, and we'd go up there, and after coming from swimming from Fish Canyon or something, we'd stop there and start picking all the fruit, you know, and that's what we did, I mean, as kids.
How connected or isolated did Rocktown feel from the rest of Duarte?
We're nice.
Well, that was, like I say, we were isolated. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. When even across the street, when people lived across the street, they didn't even want their kids coming over. Even across the street, they didn't want them coming over to our neighborhood because they just didn't want their kids to. They've heard so much things about Rocktown, good and bad. I mean, so they we were just. I mean, throughout Duarte, everybody knew Rocktown. No, there was no ifs, ands, and buts. If you lived in Rocktown, everybody knew where Rocktown was. Yeah.
Can you guys share your experiences with police while living in Rocktown? I know you guys said about them stopping you guys at Huntington and then telling you to go back, but if you want to add to that, anything to add?
Well, you can remember when they were looking for a few of the guys they would come in there and they would a lot of guys, as soon as the police came through there, they would see, the thing about Rocktown only had lights in the corners. There was no street lights in the middle. Eventually, later on, they put one light in the middle or something like that. But before, they just had corner lights. So when you went up the neighborhood, up one of the blocks, it was pretty dark. And
Had alleys.
Yeah, and
Alleys.
so
every block had an alley.
yeah, so when the police would go up there, they would. I mean, this was part of the norm. I mean, they would get rocks and stuff thrown from all directions, you know, and
There's plenty of them.
yeah, I mean, they would just get rocks thrown at them just for going through there, not to showing up to stop something or like that. They just weren't liked. Yeah, you know. They didn't want us out, and we didn't want them in, and so every time the police car would go through there, they would be a lot of them would leave with broken windows and stuff, and but that was we didn't think anything of it. I mean, because that's the way it was. I mean.